So it was really hard. Like my baby, he wasn't even 2 years old when I left, and I struggled. So when I came back, PTSD, anxiety, depression, I know military, all that stigma surrounding getting help, but I'm like, I need help. So going
Yeah.
to the VA, talking to a social worker actually really helped me. And I was like, hey, I'm going to go back to school and look into this.
On this week's episode of Battle to Battle, we got us. I got one of my old battles from back in the day. We deployed to Iraq together, but now she's a doctor of behavioral health and a whole bunch of things going on in the wellness and fitness realm of life, something that a lot of people are struggling with right now. And I'm looking forward to this exclusive interview with Dr. LaQuista Arena.
Hello.
How you doing? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. It's been a long time. What, 17? What is it? 2021? We deployed back in what, '03 together?
Don't be aging me like that.
My bad, my bad. We just deployed last year. My bad. Happy
Yeah.
25th birthday. Happy 25th birthday.
Well, thank you.
That's what's up. Well, we all dealing with this COVID environment and everything that's going on in the world, kind of, I guess, maybe ending depending on where you at or never really started. How have you been, you and the fam, or, your employees adjusted to this COVID environment?
Yeah, so I'm out here like in the metro Atlanta area. So, COVID, I don't know if it ever really existed here, but no. Seriously, COVID has been really tough, especially for me and my family. Like we lost my grandmother last year
Mm,
around this time due to COVID. But other than that, I would say COVID really kind of like saved me. And
mm,
that may sound weird, but I was in a really, really bad place, military, had to get my divorce. So I was going through a bitter divorce, moved
mm,
back home, and COVID really saved my business because mental health was so important. And so yeah, I've been thriving throughout COVID and just continuing to support people who are really struggling with, now the big struggle is okay, how do I interact in social situations? So people haven't really been around too many people and they're not really sure like, okay, is it appropriate to go mask, no mask? So much judgment going on out there.
mm,
So we're all doing the best we can.
mm. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Now, you discussed briefly, you said that it helped you out with your business, which is your brand is Well and Fit Living. And I'm seeing it online. We just, passed Women's History Month, but this is something that is needed throughout the year, especially with COVID and people as a whole. I think have an issue, or probably I don't want to call it an issue, but it's been tough dealing with the change. So, talk a little bit about Well and Fit Living, what it is, and why is it important?
Yeah. So Well and Fit Living actually was born out of my private practice. So I'm a licensed therapist and was working in private practice in New Jersey before my divorce. And, this was pre Zoom everything. So I was
Mm,
seeing clients face to face, working a lot with professional women, some veterans, but overall, my demographic were women
mm,
who were really highly successful in their careers, but really struggled with home life, whether it was relationships or just taking care of themselves. And what I find is like, I'm pretty sure you can attest to this too. Like in the military, you're looked at for the most part as like the one who has made
hmm.
it in your family.
That's it.
So we're taking care of everybody and not really making time for self.
Hmm.
And in this pandemic, that's a struggle because, okay, it's so many things going on. You don't have your battle rhythm. Like we're
Hmm.
used to getting up, going to work, doing these things, but okay, it's a halt. I need everybody to sit down, and people are at home going crazy.
Yeah.
And I say crazy not to, downplay like any mental illness, but really trying to figure out what do I do. And so for myself, I was going through this really hard divorce, super depressed. Yes, therapists get depressed too. And I started focusing on my wellness. So started getting in shape, going hard on my Peloton,
I peep you.
just work it out. I'm like, I know you mentioned I was 25, but I was coming up on the big 40 and really had goals for myself. And people started to notice, like, hey, what are you doing? You look amazing. And, I was like, I'm just taking care of me, like my
Mm,
body, wellness, fitness, mental health, like all of these things play a part in it. And so I was able to pour that into my clients. And so well and fit living came out of that. I wanted to be able to provide something for the woman who, doesn't have time to, take care of herself, who feels guilty about taking that time. And so I decided to put together a subscription service box. So it's super easy. Each month you get like 5 to 6 items focused on wellness, fitness, mental health, because it's more than just like spas and bubble baths. It could be financial health. It
mm,
could be like, physical fitness. It could be like a spa day or, something related to that. And so, yeah, I've been putting so much into that and just building that out and, hoping that it's gonna, benefit a lot of women.
mm. Now, do you have a website?
Yeah, so my website is actually wellfitliving.com. Outside of the box, I do have other products such as candles, like fitness apparel, yoga mats. Like I'm adding new products and services. Like every day, I'm working on a membership. So, because I think it's important to have that support and accountability, of like minded people. And so I'm working on building that out. And, my social media is for the brand is well and fit living on all social media. Someone had to get well fit living, but you know, hey, you know how I go
Yeah,
with the social media, but I try to keep everything like consistent and on brand. But yeah, wellfitliving.com or at well and fit living.
nice. Now, one thing you mentioned is about it being like a mental and emotional kind of struggle, which kind of leads me to you having your doctorate in behavioral
Mhm.
health. You got a doctor talking to us, y'all. Now, talk to us a
Yes.
little bit about that.
Yeah. So back when we deployed together, that was like the beginning of the
Hmm.
beginning.
Hmm.
Just, the conditions were just horrible. I look back and I don't even know how I survived.
Man, listen.
Like living in the chicken coop and
Oh, it was the chicken coop. That is what we called it, the coop.
yes, the chicken coop, burning the burn, like
Mm,
I don't know how I made it.
mm,
But just losing so many people and then like coming back home, like really struggling with at the time I didn't know what PTSD was.
yeah.
And kind of feeling guilty, like, hey, I didn't fight, like I didn't see any action, but why am I struggling here?
Mm,
And so after I lost like one really good friend back so I deployed again in 2007,
mm,
went back to Iraq again. I'm like, okay, wait
mm,
a minute, how I'm going back to the same war?
mm.
I don't understand.
Thought we
Like,
finished that.
like we still doing this, but this time I had a husband and I had a young son, so it was really hard. Like my baby,
Mm,
he wasn't even 2 years old when I left, and I struggled. So when I came back, PTSD, anxiety, depression, I know military, all that stigma surrounding getting help, but I'm like, I need help. So going
yeah.
to the VA, talking to a social worker actually really helped me. And I was like, hey, I'm going to go back to school and look into this. And so decided to get my master's in social work.
Nice.
And my idea was to go active duty, the Army social worker program. Ended up getting pregnant
Mm,
during the process. And so I'm like, okay, you know what? Let me just, you know, work at the VA. I wanted to work with veterans. I wanted to, continue to support my battles. And from there, I was like, okay, like I'm really kind of doing this. I don't want to owe the Army like any more time than I have to. So let me
Yeah.
just go ahead and, you know, do my own thing. And then when a friend of mine in my master's program, she enrolled into this doctorate program through Arizona State, and she was telling me about it, and it just seemed like a perfect fit. And so I was like, doctor might be really cool. And so went through that program. Took me forever to finish, but
Hmm.
praise Jesus, I completed it. Like, probably one of the hardest things mentally that I probably ever went through. It was really hard on my family, but yeah, I'm a doctor. I'm licensed and just able to kind of give back to the people who need it most, people who look like me.
That's what's up. And that's
Yeah.
what it's about right there. I'm 41 years old, not afraid, not ashamed to say that.
Yes.
I don't even know a doctor. Let's
Yes,
go
you
there.
do. You
I know
know
one
me.
now. What I'm saying is I don't know a doctor.
Right.
So that is an amazing accomplishment within itself. So regardless of how long ago it was, for the rest of your life, somebody is calling you doctor.
Yeah, they can't take
So
that away from me.
that's what's up. That's what's up. Well, as you mentioned, we met back in 2000, when we deployed together.
Yeah.
Um, and that was a part of your army life. So give me a little bit of that army life upbringing from Social Circle,
Yes,
Georgia.
circle.
So let's get the upbringing and how it led you into the army life.
Yeah, so I'm a small town girl, Social Circle, Georgia, about 35 miles east of Atlanta, small town, one red light. Everybody know everybody, everybody in your business. But I was pretty smart in high school, and recruiters, they come into the school. I'm like, hey, ain't nothing y'all can tell me, until they said, okay, you can travel, you can, go to school. I was like, hey, stay here or travel.
That's it.
Um, I wish someone had told me to go active duty though, but I signed up for the reserves when I was 17 years old. So a week after my high school graduation, I went off to boot camp at Fort Jackson
Mm,
and relaxing Jackson, but it wasn't
relax.
relaxing to me. Um, I'm quiet, I'm tall, so it's kind of hard for me to kind of go
Yeah,
incognito. So the drill sergeant was on me hard. Like they really pushed and challenged me. And, probably the one of the best decisions I made like for my career. Like I thank the military for a lot of things. Um, but if I had to do it all over again, I don't think I would.
mm,
Things have changed over the years.
absolutely.
When I went in, like my unit, we were like family. And I was just talking to my old first sergeant the other day, and I was like, we were such a family.
So tight.
And I remember like leaving and going to a different unit for the first time, and I went to Minnesota.
Mm,
Now, what am I
oh,
doing in Minnesota?
mm-hmm.
But it was not the same. It didn't feel like a family, and leadership is just so different. I mean, I know you're an OG, and I know you're a great leader, but it's so many leaders who are lacking um, those leadership qualities, that emotional intelligence that it takes to lead like soldiers of today. I actually went AGR in 2016 and had the worst experience as a career counselor,
Mm,
toxic leadership. And I got out. I was like, listen, y'all gotta let me go. I'll go back to the reserves and just
yeah.
chill. So I did a little over a year on AGR, and then I refratted back
Mm,
and just finished my time out in the reserves. But I met so many people along the way, and just happy to have been like a Black female non-commissioned officer to give these soldiers like, hope. Like I was in my doctorate program doing this. And I
Mm-hmm.
still have sold. I actually have to reach out to someone who is currently active. I think she's AGR and she's considering, getting her doctorate. And I love mentoring those.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I have one of my old soldiers. She wasn't my soldier, but I was her career counselor, and she came. I remember her coming into my office saying that she wanted to go into the IRR because her commander told her, she couldn't do a master's program in social work and be in their unit. And I was like,
Mm.
what? Like, that doesn't make sense. I was like, girl, you go enroll in that program. I was like, he'll probably be gone.
Mm-hmm.
Commanders come and go. Do you?
Yeah.
She's graduated. She's now in her doctorate program.
Nice.
She's about to commission as an officer.
Mm-hmm.
And I just love seeing her out here, like doing greater things than what, I knew that was out there. So that's so important because it's not many people that look like us in these positions, and it's
Yeah.
so needed.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nothing wrong with you saying it just like that. It's not the ones that look like us to do it, and
Mhm.
sometimes it's the ones that don't look like us that don't want us to do it.
Oh,
And so
absolutely.
I'm pretty sure whoever told her that probably could, picture her being in that position of authority or leadership, and automatically said, "No, not here, not
Yep.
on my watch." But I'm glad to hear, the positive outcome of that because a lot of times it's just opportunity, and if you're given the opportunity and then take advantage of that opportunity. Because sometimes in these units, and I've had those experiences as well, as far as a unit that won't let you go to either a military school or tries to interfere with your civilian school. And so automatically you get to that point where you're like, all right, if I can't do it, I can't do it. So first is given the opportunity, then taking advantage of it. Because you
Hmm.
get some of these soldiers that talk, my unit, my unit. Okay, cool. Now you're in a unit where you can. So shut up and do it.
Right.
So, it's being given that opportunity, then taking advantage of it. And I'm glad, that soldier had you on her ear and, someone that was able to assist. So appreciate that, Doc.
Yes, absolutely.
Appreciate that. So you kind of talked a little bit about it, but I always like to, if you could think real hard about it, talk about some of these battles. And this is part of the reason why I do this. Throughout your 20-year career, I'm pretty sure it was a moment where someone maybe did something similar like that to you, or a moment where you was like, this is very tough, like a battle that you went through. And if you could think of that or let talk to us about that, what would it be?
Mhm. Whew. There have been several.
Mm,
I was fortunate enough to have strong, like, female leadership. I know female NCOs and officers like get like a bad rep as not being as friendly or not really wanting to help other Black females. But I was fortunate. I had one NCO, actually my second deployment, and you know, my unit, love them, but it's like, oh, just go to the most, like, you got a profile, you ain't going nowhere. They fooled me. I went to the mob site and I'm telling my husband, I was like, oh, I just gotta go, they go send me back. I got this profile. I'm not worthy. I'm not, I'm damaged goods.
yeah.
I'm a P4 in their eyes. They're gonna send me back. I went through that mob site and they were like, clear, you'll begin your orders.
You good? Next.
You good. And I was just so devastated. And the thing about it, at that time, we didn't deploy as a unit. They started doing the onesies and twosies. And so I
Hmm.
was all
Cross level.
alone, didn't know anybody. And her name was Sergeant First Class Shanavia Safford.
Mm,
She kind of took me under her wing. She was kind of like my mama, but my best friend.
nice.
And I've always kind of flocked to older women because I always look for that guidance. And
Mm,
so that's what I try to be. I try to be what I wanted in a leadership, and what she showed me, which was compassion, that family type of vibe, and we were like inseparable. She looked out for me, like she told me about all these different opportunities, and she was reserves too. And so at the time, She was the UA of the unit, so her civilian job was working in the reserve unit, and they actually let her deploy. When we redeployed, I got a job as a UA, and she just did so much to like help me with my career. She flew out to come help train me because I'm sitting there. I was like, I don't know anything about being a UA, and she just showed me that there are good people, people who want to see you succeed. And after all these years, like, we still connect, not as often as I would like, but she was a great leader.
Nice.
The first sergeant I was telling you about before, who I just talked about, he was a great leader. My first AT, we would go to Germany, or did I meet you in Germany? I think after our deployment, maybe. I know
I
we
was
would go
in
to.
Germany.
Yeah, we would go to Germany around like Christmas or November
We
for like
probably
our
ran into each other again.
our 2 weeks AT. And I remember, like, I'm like young, I ain't had no money. I'm like, I'm not going to Germany. He's like, we family. Like, you coming, we got you. And that was just an experience. Like, okay, these people really do care about me.
Yeah.
And this man looked my mama in her eyes and told her, I'm gonna take care of your baby and make sure she get home to you. And so that was just so important.
Nice. And see, that's what I love to hear. Some people taking on, the battle as, things that they went through that, might have been negative and they got through. But it's good to hear that, prior to you thinking you wasn't going to deploy, you
Oh
know,
yeah.
you had somebody come along and say, no, we're going to take care of this. So whatever it is you got going on, we're going to make sure you're good. So that's lovely. I love that story. I think we had one with us. I think her name was Jordan when we went.
Mhm.
We called her Mama Jordan. I
I
remember her being an
remember her.
E4,
Yes.
and she was like
Yes.
60.
Yes.
And I was just like, she'd be like, "What?" I'm like, "Whatever you need, Mama Jordan. You can't ain't
Yeah.
got nothing to say. Whatever you need, Mama Jordan." I remember her back in when we deployed. So, so with all of this going on, with all the things you have going on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and Amazon and everywhere else. In order for you to keep that type of vibe, that energy, you obviously have to have people around you of the same ilk and same type of mentality. And so that's what I like to do to keep this energy going on this platform. So if you had a recommendation for someone that you think would be a good fit for Battle to Battle, who would it be?
Oh my gosh. Let me tell you. So, I'm in the mental health space, and I met this I'm not going to curse, but
You can.
she's
This
so
is my
dope.
this is my platform. You can say badass on my platform.
Yeah, I met this badass female chocolate warrior, Air Force veteran who really, so she is really huge. She's like a giant in the mental health space. So I know people know, if you know, you know. So like in the mental health space, like we have the Brene Browns, which I absolutely love, white woman, but she's amazing. But Duran Young,
Mm,
she's a veteran, like I said, Air Force Captain Duran Young. She started Black Therapist Rock,
mm,
and the group quickly grew to like 30,000 plus on Facebook. And she's very passionate about making sure that Black and Brown folks have access to mental health, and that Black therapists, because people want to see therapists who look like them.
mhm,
Like, my clients say it all the time. Like, I had a therapist before. They don't understand. Like, I couldn't relate to him. It was an old white lady or old
mhm,
white man. And so she's done so much work out there, partnerships with Facebook, and she's a New York Times bestseller.
mm.
She just did an anthology with Brene Brown, Tarana Burke, and a host of other amazing people. And so I'm gonna see what I can do. Look, I'm not saying I got the juice like that, but
Let's get it. Let's
um,
get it. You got it.
I
You got
think
it,
it's
Doc.
so. I think it's so important that she continues, because she has like that platform, and she has that credibility, that the people get to hear what she has to say and what she's doing, and it's kind of plugged into that. So I'm gonna let her know. And
Nice.
she got a soft spot for veterans and military, so we should be good.
Appreciate you. Appreciate you. Well, if you can, you can. That would be love. So,
Yeah.
the name of this show is Battle to Battle. We got us. And I've had the absolute honor and privilege to talk to the only doctor I know, Miss LaQuista Arena, the Well and Fitness, and I will have every Well and Fit. I will have every single one of her platforms listed when I drop this. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you today.
My pleasure as well. Thank you for having me.